I've described Expedition 33 among friends as a Lies of P of RPGs, in the same way that Lies of P seemed to have came out of nowhere sporting tight gameplay, high production values, and a refreshing take on the familiar Souls-like genre. Expedition 33 has in a similar fashion released onto the scene, surprising gamers with a well-crafted turn-based RPG that doesn't feel like merely a weak attempt at copying the bigger titles. Developed by French studio Sandfall Interactive, Clair Obscur Expedition 33 tells the story of a group of volunteer members who embark on a journey to destroy a being known as the Paintress, who every year paints a decreasing number on a giant monolith that kills anyone of that age and older in their city, slowly edging their population towards extinction. Aside from the bleak tone of the narrative, one of the first things I noticed after a few hours of gameplay is the sheer visual splendor of Expedition 33. As an Unreal Engine 5 game, the graphics are quite stunning, with noticeable detail observed in character models and environmental lighting to name a few. Everything just looks highly polished. This experience continued throughout the game. As I progressed through the story, I was taken aback by the numerous environments crafted on a grand scale, often drenched in vibrant, lush colors that pop off the screen, paired with an exceptional soundtrack to listen to that gives off a somewhat luxurious royal atmosphere. In terms of navigating the world, there are no location-specific maps in Expedition 33, aside from the overall world map known as the continent. The continent itself is depicted in the form of a neat diorama, and I thought this was really cool as it abstracts the distance of various locations around the map in a clever and fun way while still being graphically impressive despite the shift in visual perspective. While you do begin exploring slowly on foot, over the course of the game you do progress to quicker, more convenient ways to explore, including methods on land, sea, and even in the sky. While on the continent, you can also choose to set up camp. This lets you manage your party including their skills and equipment, while also allowing you to spend personal time with your party members for additional dialogue and relationship building based on the status of plot events. The game is also well paced in my opinion, usually taking the form of a main objective that takes you to a new location, and from there you have side branching paths consisting of collectibles, optional bosses to take on that offer additional rewards, and even various mini-games on the continent itself. For the most part, I found these side objectives were well distributed over the course of the game to give me just enough of a brief break from the main plot without overwhelming me in quantity. Another area where Expedition 33 excels in is in the area of combat. Despite being turn-based, combat here is quite snappy and fluid, with a touch of visual flair added for extra impact. Unlike most turn-based RPGs, this game takes a different approach to defense with the dodge and parry system. There is no dedicated defense option to select from the command menu. Instead, you only have the option to either dodge an enemy's attack or parry it. Successfully pulling off any of these negates all damage. If you manage to parry every attack from an enemy during their turn, you'll automatically trigger a counter-strike that returns damage. Keep in mind that the frame windows for dodging are more forgiving than those to parry, so there is a bit of a risk-reward system at play here. Personally, I found that dodging unfamiliar attacks first to nail down the timings, and then taking it further to parry them proved effective over the course of the game. Later on in the game, this can become quite challenging though, as some enemies would have attacks so brutal that I wouldn't even bother attempting to parry them. Simply taking the easiest path to avoid damage proved more successful. During battle, party members can choose to free aim shoot enemies without consuming their turn. This mechanic can be used to hit weak spots of certain enemies for big damage, or to hit other enemy types that have high evasion against normal attacks. The game will also pause briefly to explain status effects the first time they're encountered. Given how many RPGs just expect you to figure these out on your own, I really appreciated this small touch. Speaking of party members, each new member to the party brings their own unique combat style and quirks that you must learn to draw the most value out of them. As each member joins your expedition, the game presents a short tutorial segment that briefly walks you through how the new ally functions along with a few key tips to remember. I found this to be a nice touch and very helpful, as these segments not only had my mind thinking of how to use the character individually, but also what synergies may be possible with the rest of my team. While you cannot swap party members mid-battle, upon death, you do have the option of calling in your reserve party to continue the fight, giving you a second opportunity at victory. Further customization comes in the form of Pictos, accessories that when equipped increase a character's stats and grants them bonus effects, such as increased damage or status immunity. While you can only equip a limited set of these, after winning any 4 battles with unlearned Pictos equipped, the Pictos will become what is known as Lumina and will now be a learned ability to be able to be equipped separately in addition to other Pictos, with the only drawback being that the stat bonuses no longer apply if equipped as Lumina. In my first few hours with the game, I admit, I initially overlooked the ability to do this. It was my belief that there was no way the game would let me stack effects on top of each other like that. But to my surprise, it did, and over the course of the game, I amassed insane chunks of these abilities, allowing me to significantly increase my lethality in combat. I really loved how the devs just let Pandora's box open for the player to have such power fairly early on, rather than at some typical late game time that won't even matter by the time that you get it. Another benefit to this type of system is that you can essentially make different builds for your characters by mix and matching abilities, and this encourages sort of a community where fans can share their build creations, exposing other fans to possibilities that they never knew existed. Overall, I was thoroughly satisfied with the combat system. While my thoughts on Expedition 33 are positive overall, I do have a few criticisms. For one, I found the leveling system to not be that effective. While the idea is that you're given the choice on how to distribute each character's stats, I personally never ran into a situation where I observed a dramatic difference in character performance due to leveling a character one way versus another. The one time this did make a difference was only for an optional in-game boss fight, where I just needed a bit extra oomph to increase my damage output. Overall, I would have preferred to just have the game level up for me. Combat-wise, I did observe some situations here and there where it was a little bit challenging to properly read an enemy's attack due to either distracting visual artifacts on screen or a preset camera angle the game chose to take that obscures the view. This was a minor annoyance, as there's usually accompanying sound effects you can still cue in on. Another minor annoyance was the lack of any quest log to notate or track undiscovered and unexplored locations. I'm aware that the devs wanted players to explore areas more naturally without referencing a map, but for a game of this production value, not including such a feature seems out of place, especially considering completionists who want to experience all of the late game content. In closing, Expedition 33 is a great game that is certainly a must-play for any RPG fan. Boasting high production values, fun and engaging combat with likable characters, and an interesting narrative that will throw a few surprises your way, I suspect this game will be fondly remembered in the fullness of time. Well, that's it for the video. As always, thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel to be notified of when new videos release. And leave a comment letting me know what your experience was with Clair Obscur Expedition 33. If you can't wait for a new video, feel free to check out my prior videos on this channel. See you in the next one.